how can we cap this off in a way where they're like, I know exactly what I need to do and I can do it in 10 minutes or less?
I think it comes down to figuring it out in public, figuring it out live and in front of people, right? Because it's kind of like the minimum viable product of your messaging, not just your product. How do you stand out in a sales sense and be a genuine person, a problem finder, not a product pusher?
No, that's 100% true. And I think it fits right well in that, especially for the starters. A lot of the times when what was that book? It was called, the book was called Think Bigger, I think, or Play Bigger, one of the two. And I remember hearing this. It says, if you can articulate the problem well enough, it's automatically assumed that you have the solution for it. But if you know the problem of the person that you're seeking, your ideal customer, right? If you don't know like that customer has this type of problem in this way, then, in a specific way, if you can explain that, it's like it becomes that magnetic marketing. Someone would hear it and will say, oh my goodness, like, let me reach out. And I have a story for you on that one right there.
Ooh,
It was when I
always got a
had,
story.
I always got a story, right? Got a
Pass.
story. Kind of like how you keep your resources, right?
There we go. Marry the two. It's a good combo.
Right? It's a win-win right there. But my story was when I was trying to get insurance, right? Trying to lock in that health insurance, dental insurance for myself and my little ones and my wife. And I remember for when the opportunity arose, I was getting a killer deal with a specific place. I'm talking about like half off, like, and you still get the same level of work. However, and this was open enrollment time, I got an email from someone who I automatically assumed was the person that I was supposed to be working with. I did not know that was not the person, which was a cold email that came at the right time or right place. And I thought it was them. And because my mind's bells were like, oh yeah, I reached out, it's open enrollment, these are the people I'm supposed to be working with, I signed up without asking any questions. Fast forward to today, I'm paying twice as much as I would if compared to the person I was supposed to be working with. Right? They came right in front. Like, I was walking toward that person, they came in right in front and said hello with the specific problem and pain. Hey, you know exactly what I want, and I just signed up. And I'm now paying twice as much, and I'm mad about it. I'm like, man, like, so a lot of the times when they speak your problems, they speak it so well, they say, I know what the solution is. You automatically think, just like myself, here's a credit card, let's go ahead and do it. And that's what they did to me. And now I have to wait a whole year before I cancel and get the right person.
Oh man, it's crazy. Timing is such a powerful thing, but it's not like a perfect science that you can latch onto in sales per se. But it's getting crazy on how people can find the right triggers to get the right thing in front of someone. But I think you make a great point on, I think Steve Larson says this, right? It's not just product market fit, it's problem market fit, which goes into more of the messaging. But I was just talking to my coach about this. It starts with targeting, like, right? You have a person, a group of people, a target persona that you want to serve. They have a specific problem. And then you need to find that product market fit, but you also need to find that's your product, your solution, your service, but you need that problem market fit with the messaging that can fuel the campaign. And that's where we talk about the universal belief, which I would love to hear you expand on more, because it's both the pain and the desire, right? It's the goal they desire but don't have, the problem they have but they don't want to have. Saying it some way along those, it's both the problem and the desire. Yeah, ultimately you're selling a destination of getting rid of that problem, but also achieving that thing that they want.
That's so true. I would say right now, a lot of the times, some people I've actually met with don't even know they have the problem. So you may hit them up.
Levels.
Yeah, different levels of that pain.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you can hit them up. And I've had this when I was doing outreach to someone, and I would reach out to them like late last year, November. And they're like, no, like, don't take me off the list, pretty much, because they don't know that that's something they have a problem with. And then I will follow up with them on LinkedIn. And then I have a great conversation with them. They're like, oh yeah, you hit me at the right moment. Like, they just hired a consultant to help them with that problem. And they didn't even have the meeting with the consultant yet. I kind of did what the healthcare lady did to me.
Mm.
But I reached out at the right time when they realized this is a problem and that I need to find a solution for that. So
Mm.
just like you mentioned, there's different stages of that. They may not be ready now, but if you play that long-term game, you will end up hitting them at a time where they realize that this is it. More importantly, you can even nurture them to help them become aware of the problem with resources, examples. Um, uh, there's a lot of things you can do to share with them, right? That
Totally.
that can help them.
And then big picture, I think this brings up the power of an MVP, right? A minimum viable product. If you're familiar with the Lean Startup book, that's pushes hard on that. And I have a cool story recently of a client of mine, and they know they know their client, the persona so well. They usually attract people at a certain stage, right? But now they're pulling in people who are below that stage. They know what that person's problems are at that stage and what they will be, but they didn't have an offer in their value ladder, you could say, to meet that need. So what did he do? He focused hard on speaking to that problem, and he had an offer that he could share, but he's building it live as he goes with them. And so it's that classic, I saw a crazy percentage, I don't know how accurate it is, but upward of 80% of successful products are more of a result of market-led strategies than product-led strategies. And, 70%, what is it, of starters possibly fail to generate early traction because they don't sufficiently define and understand their target audience. It's just that power of making someone feel understood. And I think it's always the temptation. It's just insane how hard it is to actually clarify, how much work it takes to simplify and really nail that messaging.
That is so cool that you mentioned that, because Steve Larson did the same thing where and he didn't make this, but he explained it very, very nicely of how he did the seed launch, where he would tell people, hey, I'm going to sell you on the solution that I want to provide to you, but just know this is the beta program. So you can go ahead and go to this through a cheaper price, and the end result is this. And he will sell people on this idea without even having the product made at all.
Yeah.
So he would then take that first batch and then put them through the first week of training before he even start them. After he took the credit card payment, he asked him, sent a survey and asked, what is it that you would like to see in this program? What would you like to achieve in this program? And with that information, he created the first week, right? And then and then he says, okay, now that I got that survey results, he created some kind of an outline to give to them in that first week. And at the end of the week, he then asked them, what did you like? What didn't you like? And then he readjusted. And now when that second batch of people came the following week, he gave them, instead of asking that problem, he gave them what was what the reiterated version of what the first batch of people experienced to the other group. And now he's mastering this cycle of like, I'm giving you exactly what you want based on your own words. And then he used that to the 6-week process, every week asking them what would they like to see next based on the problem they just accomplished, and use the seed launch to, within 6 weeks, make $200,000.
Yeah. Obviously there's a lot of tech involved there, but wow, that's crazy. Like, I just imagine if people felt confident in that process of actually actively building and what that looks like, they're probably confident. There's plenty of people that are confident in their expertise or their ability to build something, but to do it in that time crunch and tech and like the rapid feedback and it being public, that's a little scarier. Like, that's where I think we've fallen prey to that. That's where I've fallen guilty of. Like, I've developed the product way more so, and now we're like, okay, dude, it's been ready. Now clear, get the message, product market fit, problem market fit.
Yeah.
Be disciplined with making noise and getting content out there and speaking to people, and just iterate both the product and the messaging as you go, right? So I just think there's a lot of belief in there that can also be hindered by, people's technical abilities or fears that, tech would be too hard to figure out to pull it off. If it's an online type of thing, you know what I mean? Like a cohort or a digital product, or you're doing on live calls and that kind of thing. It can be, I don't know, it really challenges, doesn't it? Like, do I have what it takes? And it probably depends where you're at in business and what results you've been able to get. You throw in a high ticket price and you like, I don't know, you can easily be like, man, well, it's a good pressure if you can put the right mindset on, right? That's the way I think
That's
about it. And
it's 90% of
I
the
need to grow
battle.
in that front.
No, seriously, 90% of the battle is that
Yeah.
having the mindset to accomplish, like just like we talked about with the another story, right? With the fisherman who had two different rods, right? Maybe if you want to explain that story, because since I have all the stories, right? You know that one more than I do.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully I don't butcher this one. It was a great thread and a great little story. I don't know if it's a real story or just a parable, but either way, nonetheless, powerful. So the concept is there's two guys going out to fish, and they want to build a fishing business, or they want to be successful at fishing and be profitable and grow something out of it. Um, and one guy he just starts what he has. He has the crappy fishing rod, and he's the MVP. He's just radically iterating, switching it up, finding different locations, reinvesting. He'll get some fish, sell it, keep moving, upgrade the rod. And then there's the other guy. He's like, man, I got to research. I got to understand these fish. Where's the best place to go? I'm going to raise some funding and get a boat, right? We got to get the best boat. We want to just make sure we're ready to really crush it. And by the time he spends all the time feeling good about, okay, I think we're ready, the other guy's he's already recruited a team. He just rapidly iterated and built a fishing empire and taken up all the fish. In a nutshell, that's the concept of it's the whole you don't need a fatter nugget. You don't need a fatter head. Like, go actually pursue a project that's going to challenge you and help you find that sweet spot of like push you into a flow, because it's enough challenge to like push you out of your comfort zone, but it's not so daunting that you don't commit to it. And then just find the resources that are going to help you along the way. Not like, oh, I got to read the top 5 books on building an acquisition system, or like, I got to read all the sales books and do all these practice calls with my buddies before I, what I mean? Just go have conversations with people, scrape your knees. You say that all the time. I think that's your tagline, Daniel, like scrape your knees. Like, what do we say? Eventually you'll get calloused enough to where it doesn't even hurt.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I would say, for me personally, I remember when I first landed the first 3 clients, and I remember in that moment after getting that opportunity, it was instantly 14K per month, right? And I didn't start with them yet, and I was just so worried, like I need to have a team to help me fulfill this. I remember I was emailing people, I was hitting up my friends that were mentors in the past, and I remember hitting one of them up. His name was Richard Sargent. He's always been my, I guess, sergeant, my mentor in the game. And he says, I asked him, I was like, yo man, I just got all these things, and I need a team to get organized so I can handle these. And he says, and I tell him, he says, well, slow down. What happened exactly? And I'm like, well, I landed 3 roles and they're paying this amount of money. And these roles require that I do this, and this. And like that's where I'm at. And he says, well, what's your problem? Well, I don't have, I guess, the people to help me get it done. And he was like, well, do you know what you need to do? Why are you here with me right now? Right. And I'm like, I guess that made me feel dumb for it. But fast forward today, I feel like I needed an instant magic bullet, right? A silver bullet where it comes in and saves the day and fix all like this potential problem I had in my mind of these 3 clients that I thought would be horrible. But fast forward a year and a half now, I still didn't get that magic bullet, but I'm getting it done. Right? I've yet to have a problem with those clients where they're calling me out on something I messed up on, or I had moments where I messed up and I had a solution. I fixed it, but I was so scared to finally take that first step with those clients that I feel like I need to pay all the money that I had to make sure make this pain go away. But in reality, going day by day was kind of the solution, figuring out what problem I had in the moment, and just kind of covering it up or fixing it, and then just working with the next day by day. A year and a half later, that was the answer. Just roll with it.
Totally.
Right?
Dude, perception is reality.
Yeah.
Perception is reality, and it's and we talk about frames and how you see things, whether that's in light of how taking it down at the moment, or seeing it in the light of think like, oh, imagine you're an old old and gray Noah or Daniel is coming back in time. You're waking up like, I feel good again. Like I'm not worried about this. The things that won't worry you or you'll look back on, you'll be like, why do I stress so much about that? Like, so much of our stress is self-induced, and learning to fight for the mind, have accurate perceptions of reality so that you can rise to the occasion and push into the things and not, I don't know. I feel like our minds, not only are our minds always looking to forget things, but we're always looking to add more comfort. Like, comfort and certainty are just boiling up as the biggest enemies to growth in my life right now. How do we
No,
confront those? How do we look to God to help us find the strength and accurate perceptions of reality and live moment by moment? Because all we ever have is this second. Have you ever thought about that? It's like a mind-blowing thing to think about.
no, you are so right, 100%. Because I feel like a lot of the times we are our own enemy, right? Like back in the day, that stress that we have used to be to, fight off a tiger when walking into a specific unknown area, right? Like, but now we have the stress adrenaline rush while sitting in your business desk, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's not the same, but your mind is your biggest threat, and I feel like the biggest answer to that for anyone who is starting this out and feel like the imposter syndrome's coming in, and now there's more stress coming in. The number one answer to that problem would be understanding your ideal customer and what problem that they have, right? And if you know the problem, if you can research it, there's a lot of open source material for you to figure out what or pinpoint what that problem is for that person. And if you know the problem and you can start testing out the solutions, even if someone else have done it, right? And then test on yourself and then give it to them, that confidence overcomes that fear, right? Like you've done it over and over again where like, hey, I know you have a level of certainty when you speak to the person where you know that you've already got a solution for them in the past,
Yes.
right? It's
Success
like,
breeds success.
yeah, exactly. And it's
Yeah.
like, it's just insane how, not insane, but how easy that solution is. Just know the problem. Kind of like that one story of Catch Me If You Can,
Mhm.
when Frank Abagnale was the teacher of an advanced biology class or whatever advanced sociology class, and when he taught a whole semester, right? When no one was involved, he taught an entire semester of an advanced class. When he finally got caught, the teacher asked him, or at least the policeman asked him, "How did you, first of all, get away with teaching an advanced class without, without even getting caught, first of all, but like, how'd you do it? You don't even know this." And he says, all I had to do was read one chapter ahead of the students, give that to them. And it's like, well, duh, we've all had those moments where if we know the problem and you read one chapter ahead of that person with the problem, you have that level of confidence to not fool them, but to be seen as the leader toward them. You have the solution. Let me follow you wherever you go.
Yeah, that's an interesting aspect here. It's like it brings up the curse of knowledge, or like, the how we gravitate towards someone who's just like a few steps ahead, just like you just said, versus, I mean, yeah, you could learn from someone who's 10 steps ahead or who's like just, at unperceived levels of success that you can't imagine, or just where you want to be 10, 20 years from now. But like someone who's just like unlocked something right above you, like it's so cool. Like not only are they more like on your level, but it's more relatable. And so like, I think it can be easy, like as you grow to, both in our language or like back to the problem, right? If you're so many steps ahead of that person you're trying to help, you can be talking at this level or talking in terms that's not where they are. Know where they are, not just what they eventually need. You may have what they eventually need up here, but know where they are right now, which comes into the great, classic framework for understanding the problem in the sales conversation.
That's, dude, like that. I think that's one of the biggest reasons for why Russell Brunson wanted to get fired from his own business way back when, before he figured out what was the right thing, because he was teaching people how to build online businesses, right? To become successful. And he was like, yo, I've learned 4 steps ahead, 5 steps ahead, and I want to teach you things at this level. But people were just coming in at level 1 and were asking, how do I set up a domain name? How do I create a hosting site? And he's like, oh, like this is yes, I see you have the problem, and but you're so far behind. I want to teach at this level. Like,
Yeah.
I hate this. Like, this work sucks, you know? And he explains that in his book, .com Secrets, right? And just like you mentioned, knowing who you want to serve and at the level that they're at, you have to start pinpointing that so they can attract them versus
Yeah.
attracting the entire scale. And then people will be confused along the way. So I think with how you mentioned that, knowing where they're at, that's a really powerful point where even goats like Russell have explained or felt that.
Yeah, and having practical solutions, not just for them, but for you, right? Like if you
Yeah,
try to do done for you work, that level of a ticket of an offer to someone who you desperately want to help and you want to see them get out of that, from level 1 to level 2 or whatever, it creates a lot of headaches because, or like one, usually there's a price resistance there, but also like, it's kind of this, you're just trying to force a square into a round hole in a way, square peg, just because they're not ready for that. Or maybe they are, but it's just not a good fit for you as the business and them as the person. Does that make sense? Like they need probably
that
more
makes
of a,
total sense.
hey, start doing it yourself or do it together type of offer. It's the whole like, as they climb, if you expand the options that you have to give them to serve, it's probably going to be more access, it's going to be more speed. Um, and as the business owner, it's kind of hard to figure that out, right? Of like, where do you start? Like, if you just have one offer, where's it at on that scale? And who are you picking someone at stage 3 or, someone who's a starter or you want to, you know what I mean? Eventually you can
Exactly.
expand it, but that's something, an interesting thing to talk about, or I'd love to hear what other, how businesses pursue that. Like, where do you
That's so
start
true.
as the
I love
business?
that. And if anything, I would love to be able to. I know that we've given a lot of information so far in our talk today for the entrepreneur who is getting things going, right? And we said so far that the number one reason why you mentioned 70% of starters fail is because they don't clearly define the audience that they're looking for. So
Mm-hmm.
you can overcome older problems of like doubt, of fear, of even being called out for something that you're not good at by just understanding who that audience is, what their problem is, and how and taking one step ahead and giving that to them, right? So how can we make this episode more actionable for that person who is in that point? Noah, what would you recommend, or what how can we cap this off in a way where they're like, I know exactly what I need to do and I can do it in 10 minutes or less?
I think it comes down to figuring it out in public, figuring it out live and in front of people, right? Because it's kind of like the minimum viable product of your messaging, not just your product. So if you can just, you have value, you have solutions, put it out there and see what resonates with people. Quantity leads to quality. So that's what we're trying to do, right? So I would say challenge yourself to put value out there and talk to people and see what sticks and what resonates. And then you can't discredit something as powerful as like connecting with someone one to one. Like as you get a follower, someone literally did that to me. That I look up to in the AI community. I followed him on Twitter, and then he DM'd me, and he saw that he's kind of had to gate a little bit. Can't do it with everybody, but he sent me a message and thought we should chat and gave me his calendar, and we hopped on a call. And over time, I saw Noah Kagan, how you say his name, AppSumo guy.
Mhm.
He put out something like this. He still does that, like connecting with people one on one. It's kind of crazy. I mean, it's not what you would think as a business owner that works on the business, not the business works on you. Like, but it's powerful. So like, I think just, putting it out there and connecting with
Right.
people one to one, so you can get, just like you do a great job with that, like asking people real feedback, like what resonates with them on a genuine, curious level, like we started our conversation with.
I love that. I love that. So taking what you said right now, in the next 10 minutes, how you can take some action is to take a framework or a superpower that you're really good at for your customer, right? If you know their problem, I think the best way to know that problem is if you experience and get a solution for that problem yourself. So if you're
What's your
confident
story?
in that, yeah,
Share
if
your
you're
story.
confident in that, you share that in your story and you put it out there live.
Yep.
So that way you can hear rapid feedback of what the person is experiencing and do that long enough. You can talk about the same thing in different ways long enough where people will start to hear you, resonate with you, and then want to talk to you. But I think to add to that, in case you don't have the superpower of the problem that the person's facing, you can easily copy a framework of someone else. Make sure you call it out that it's a framework that they're using, and say that, hey, shout it out live that I learned something, and what's my origin story. I had this problem and I came across this solution that Noah Kagan has, or found a solution for, and I want to represent it live. So I'm going to do it live, showing how it applies to my life in the next week, showing you bits and frames of it. And that's how you can get over that imposter syndrome of doing it for yourself live, that people ask questions. And then at the end of that, all those people who ask questions live, you can follow up with them and ask if you can do it for them live.
Yeah.
And now you're getting a way to get, just like you said, you're putting it right inside of under your belt. Now you're doing it live for someone else. And this snowball effect is starting to build credibility. And then you're building the confidence to do in front of others. But more importantly, you're getting the testimonials of that person.
Yes.
Now you can follow up the next week live. Look at what I did for this person. Now here's the link for you guys to sign up so I can do the next person live. So
yes. Hey, no worries. AI is just going to take everything Daniel said, put it into an SOP, and then we just turn it into a resource you can download, right? Just follow it. Checkbox.
That's it. I think that's it. That's exactly it.
Yeah. You are an attractive character to people. Like your story, your personal brand, if you want to call it that, is a part of your niche. I truly think it's the reason cover songs exist. You know what I mean? People don't just want to hear it from the main artist. They're like, man, I want to hear it from that person's perspective. I want to hear it from his pain, his story, his joy.
Oh my gosh.
And I think that's super powerful to remember. If you're like, man, there's nothing new under the sun. People no, play the reporter, share how you've applied it to your life, and people will resonate with you as a person. You combine that with a timeless framework. I think that's special.
Dude, that's an epiphany right there, because my wife, she loves the country singer. His name is drawing a blank right now, but
Morgan Wallen.
Yes,
How's it Morgan Wallen?
Because I stalk her.
Morgan Wallen's pretty hot right now. Morgan Wallen's pretty big here in Kentucky.
Yes. Okay. So she absolutely loves him, and she played a song. It was a recent one. I think one of the most recent ones. And she listened to it on repeat kind of thing on Alexa. But then when we asked Alexa, just give us some music that you like, one of the songs that Morgan Wallen sang was someone else's, like word for word. And my wife was like, oh, like what the hell? Like, wait, is that real? Like he just copied someone else's song? Like she thought it was his whole time, but he just like you said, a cover, like did someone else's, and she loved it. She loved it. She thought it was his, and she followed even more because of that. But when that happened, it hit her hard. Like she was like, I'm gonna take a seat. I need a seat.
Chill. Dude, it's just like American Idol. Like there's there's some really cool cats on there. This like one just like sing someone's song, but from the pain of losing his dad 2 months ago. And you're just like over here like crying man tears. You're like, dude. The man I didn't know what the song was written about, but it was his story, and they pre-framed it with his story of losing his dad, and it's like, man.
And it was the same song. It was the same song, but the story attached to that made it hit different. It's kind of like when you have iPods and listening to your headphones when driving in the bus to school on a rainy day. It hits like that. If you guys know it, you know it, right?
Yeah, you know it.
Yeah, that's interesting. See, that's a whole new nugget right there that I'm glad that we're putting in, because it just gives an extra like it's like beating that 4-minute mile, right? If someone done it, copying someone else and their success, and they're just copying the song word for word, you can do it and be just in its success as they are.
Yeah.
Right. So keep that in mind.
It can be the whole if he can do it, so can I.
So, and that's the biggest thing, right? Like, and if you know the problem of the user, of your ideal customer, you can now just be a reporter, just like Noah said. Find the frameworks that's going to help your person, and you feed it to them in a way where they take steps. They're going to be willing to take following steps to you anywhere, because you help them find the solution of the problem that they have right now.
It all starts with start with your story. See what pains you've been able to overcome. Start there, and like if you can speak genuinely from that, attach it to an offer, and rapidly iterate out live. I think that's our lesson for this one.
That's it.
What better time to join, because you can join alongside us as we pursue it as well.
And now we're not, the problem we have here is that we're not doing it live. That's our problem. I think next week we're gonna start doing this live. We have to now.
It's a button click away.
It's a click. Are we able to?
Yeah, we can go straight to YouTube, Twitter, whatever.
And we gotta do that. So we got from now
on.
No, and that's it. I think that we gotta start doing, if we're gonna be
practice what we preach.
That's the solution. What was that?
Practice what we preach. Walk the walk.
Practice
the talk. Preach, yeah.
Right. Okay. So next week, when we start jumping into this, we're gonna start giving some solutions live.
There we go.
So that people can start seeing this along the way, and then more importantly, start tracking the results of what we're getting, because we are starting from scratch. Although we had success in the phase 3 of this world, right? But we're starting everything all over to prove it, and this is our way of proving it. So let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go.
Right. I think that's a wrap this week, man. I feel like let's go apply it. Let's go make it happen in our own worlds, and so we can come back with more stories and lessons.
And that will make success a little bit more open sourced.
Exactly. Right. A little more open source.
All right, guys. You guys have a good one.
See you, man. Hey, thanks for watching the Success Open Source Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, we would love for you to subscribe and join the community. Until next time, take care, and let's all make success a little more open source.